Excellent Carter here with a tutorial on naming entities and assets and things in your levels and why you should pay attention to that, and also how to organize your levels using viz groups, using custom viz groups. Okay, so the first thing is naming entities. Now, in a lot of tutorials that you'll see, when it might be a tutorial on how to implement a door or something or other, or how to use a specific kind of entity or do lighting, they'll tell you when you go to make an entity, you can quote unquote name it whatever you want, it doesn't matter, because the computer will know where it is. They'll come to the point where they say name, and they'll say you can name it whatever you want, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to say no, do not just name it anything. In particular, do not give entities abstract names like door or rotator or train, that kind of thing, because it's too abstract to be useful. So I'm going to look at this entity, for example. Right now I'm referring to this rig here, this artillery gun rig. This thing consists of a bunch of props that are parented to moving entities. The cannon, if you've played missions 5 and 6, you'll have seen this thing. The gun lowers like such, and then the entire artillery piece rotates back and forth, and it seems to be picking targets as it's going, so it looks real. So the two entities which control the rotation, that tilt, and the horizontal rotation, are called G1 elevation rot, and the parent, it's parented to this one here, which is G1 azimuth rot. Now, there's a couple things about that name. It's made of 3 parts. The first is the parent group. So all these entities, both of these entities belong to G1. G1 is this entire construct here, this whole thing. I call this G1. So every entity that's named has G1 underscore in front of it. So now I come to the function of these rotators. This is called G1 elevation rot. Now, the term elevation is a very specific meaning with artillery guns. Elevation controls the rotation on what you might call, you might think up and down. So this is elevation of the gun. In actual artillery lingo, that's what elevation means. So that this thing would have a low elevation. Currently, if aimed like that, it would have high elevation. So that term is a direct meaning when you think about it, and that will tell you instantly what that thing does once you understand what these words mean. And if you open up an entity and it has a word like that and you don't know what it means, look it up in the dictionary. We'll use plain old English for these descriptions. The azimuth here, what does azimuth mean? G1 azimuth rot. Well, again, if the gun is elevated down, say 45 degrees, azimuth, if you read about artillery, azimuth refers to the compass bearing that it's pointing at. So again, these terms they're not common English, but they're technically descriptive. With a little bit of understanding of the way artillery guns work, which helps if you want to make a model of something, you can understand how it should work. So if I were to hand this rig off to another player, or another level designer, they would know what everything is. For example, this thing here, taken out of context, what is that thing? Well, the name says G1 shell casing. It's the shell casing, so everything is clear. If you're working on a team and you're passing a level back and forth, this particle effect, for example. G1 breach smoke, so it's a smoke that comes out of the breach block. See, things are, they are descriptive.